Hey guys, welcome back to Adlib Talk, and this is my usual top 10 list you get at the start of every new year, in which I have a look at pretty much all the movies I managed to watch throughout the past year and pick out what are, in my opinion, the best 10 of the year. As with any top 10 list, remember that this is my personal list. So if you disagree with any movies on this list, please let me know in the comment section below. But please do it in a respectful and calm manner. As always, though, before we start with the list, don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoy it. And please do consider subscribing, as those are the two main ways you can help support my channel right here at Adlib Talk. Cheers, and let's get right into that top 10 list. So starting off at number 10, we have Pig. Pig was a massive surprise. I really did not get the movie I expected here. Directed by Michael Sarnowski and starring Nicolas Cage, Alex Wolff and Adam Arkin, the story follows a truffle hunter who loses his trusty truffle pig and must go on a journey to retrieve it. Going in, I personally expected this to be an action movie, but it turned out to be an extremely powerful drama with some incredibly well thought out and expressed themes, focusing especially on the themes of loss and the grief experienced by Nicolas Cage's character, Rob. Cage gives us one of the best performances of the year and shows that he too can do restrained when needs be. Excellent movie. At number 9, we have Luca. So Luca takes my vote for the most charming movie of 2021. Produced by Pixar and directed by Enrico Casarosa, Luca is the story of our titular character, who happens to be a young sea monster boy who discovers he becomes human when he is on land and not in contact with water or with the sea. This leads him to go on an adventure in the town of Porto Rosso, accompanied by his new best friend Alberto Scorfano, with whom they will experience a magnificent summer. Luca is beautifully animated, visually stunning. The town of Porto Rosso and all the little touches of symbolism throughout are showcased beautifully. The voice acting is splendid throughout and is basically a great coming of age story, not only for kids but for adults too. We all need a Luca in our life to remind us that being different is not a bad thing at all. At number 8, King Richard. So King Richard is a biographical drama directed by Reynaldo Marcus Green, starring Will Smith in the title role. Anjanu Eli, Sania Sidney, Demi Singleton, Tony Goldwyn and John Bernthal also star in this movie. So it is a story of Richard Williams, who happens to be the father and coach of famed tennis players Venus and Serena Williams. Richard Williams is a contradictory character, and this is explored so well by this movie. And Will Smith really does give us an outstanding performance, which pushes the movie forward through some of its kind of like slower moments. The writing here is also excellent, and it also have some of those, nail-biting moments we come to expect in sports movies. And they are very effective storytelling moments, not just, the tense moments of sports that we usually get. They are also very, very important storytelling moments, and not just an excuse to add some action. So this is an inspirational movie and one that I really, really did enjoy. At number 7, we have Lutsu. What more is there to say about Lutsu that I haven't already said? Directed and written by Alex Camilleri and starring Yesmark Cicluna, Michela Farrugia and David Cicluna. Who could have guessed just 1 year ago that a Maltese movie would make my top 10 list? Focusing on the story of Yesmark, who is faced with the tough decision of repairing his Lutsu or else decommissioning it and taking a payout from the EU, whilst taking advantage of the black market that has taken control of our seas. Lutzu was, for me, one of the most emotional movie watching experiences of 2021. Its climactic scene was heart-wrenching. Yesmark's performance is understated yet incredibly charismatic nonetheless, and I must also mention cinematographer Léa Lefebvre, who beautifully captures scenes both on land and off, and ultimately it is a truly authentic movie about the experiences people have on this island, far away from the travel brochures and travel advert scenes we are so used to seeing in the usual Maltese movies we get. Bravo Alex Camilleri and the whole cast and crew for this wonderful movie. And at number 6, we have Minari. Feels like such a long time since Minari came out. Written and directed by Lee Isaac Chung and starring Stephen Yeun, Han Ye Ri, Alan Kim, Noel Kate Cho, Yoon Yoo Young, and Will Patton. Minari is a beautiful tale of a family who travel to America from South Korea. The family find a farm in Arkansas and want to live their own version of the American dream. Beautifully shot with some of the best cinematography of 2021. Minari is ultimately a story about change and how change affects one's family's many dynamics. This is all portrayed excellently by a number of very, very good performances, especially by Stephen Yeun and Yoon Yoo Young. The character arcs are great and lead to one of the most powerful endings I have ever seen. This is one movie you cannot miss out on watching. So at number 5, we have The Power of the Dog. I recently reviewed The Power of the Dog, written and directed by Jane Campion, based on the 1967 novel of the same name by Thomas Savage. It stars Benedict Cumberbatch, Kirsten Dunst, Jesse Plemons, and Cody Smith-McPhee, and tells the tale of Phil Burbank, whose brother George marries widow Rose. Phil does not like Rose and constantly taunts both her and her son Peter. I told you this movie would be a hit when we start to enter award season, and this will definitely be one of the favorites, and for good reason. Jane Campion has knocked it out of the park with a visually stunning movie with some incredibly powerful themes explored, such as loneliness and sexuality, and it is all spearheaded by a fantastic, truly fantastic performance by Benedict Cumberbatch, together with a haunting performance by Cody Smith-McPhee. And we're at the top 4 here. Number 4 is The Father, probably the movie that brought out the most emotions out of me this year. Directed by Florian Zeller, based on Zeller's 2012 play Le Père. It stars Anthony Hopkins, Olivia Colman, Mark Gatiss, Imogen Poots, Rufus Sewell, and Olivia Williams. The Father tells the tale of an elderly man whose dementia is slowly getting worse. The Father has a lot going for it, but ultimately it is the performances by Coleman and Anthony Hopkins that made this one of the best movies of 2021. Hopkins especially gives a groundbreaking performance, alternating between powerful and charismatic to fearful and fragile. The range of emotions are incredible. The production design definitely deserves mention here, together with the excellent camera work and editing that deftly portray the various effects of dementia on Anthony's mind. It's ultimately heartbreaking and definitely deserving of all the awards it's won. So at number 3, one of my big surprises of the year, The Green Knight. You're going to notice a common theme between the next 2 movies, although they are 2 completely different styles or takes, but they also have their similarities. Thank you, A24, for this masterpiece. The Green Knight is an epic medieval fantasy film directed, written, edited, and produced by David Lowery and starring Dev Patel as Gawain, King Arthur's nephew. It is an adaptation of the 14th century poem Sir Gawain and The Green Knight. It is visually stunning with some of the best camera work I have seen this year. Oh my god, those tracking shots are so beautiful. A wonderfully nuanced performance by Dev Patel, which in my opinion should secure him at least a nomination for Best Actor. Brimming with charisma and gravitas, incredible production value, a wonderfully gloomy and moody atmosphere and tone, one that seems to have put off a lot of audiences. But please, if you haven't watched it, give it a chance. It's really, really, really good. And yes, some of the pacing is a little off here and there. But when the movie is just this good, you have a wonderful journey with a knight attempting to prove his honor, and the character arc experienced here is one to experience. I don't want to ruin anything about that. The climactic moments of this movie are probably the best I have seen all year and left me with a big smile on my face. The only reason why I did not rank The Green Knight higher is because of the slow pace experience throughout the middle of the movie. But apart from that small problem, this is a movie that you cannot miss out on and that I highly, highly, highly recommend. We're close to the end now, guys. At number 2, we've got The Last Duel. Yes, I am a big sucker for medieval epics. Based on a book by Eric Jäger, written in 2004 called The Last Duel, a true story of trial by combat in medieval France. It is set in medieval France, where we see Jean de Carouge, a knight acted by Matt Damon, challenge his friend Squire Jacques Legree, acted by Adam Driver, to a duel after Jean's wife Marguerite, acted by a brilliant Jodie Comer, accuses Jacques of raping her. Directed by Ridley Scott, I did not expect this movie to be as good as it turned out to be. First of all, visually, this is a true work of art. The setting is beautifully and realistically portrayed through a great combination of set, costume, and makeup design. The beautiful backdrop should also not be ignored. The storytelling, with the same story being shown through 3 different perspectives, was a magnificent idea. Performances are out of this world, especially Jodie Comer, who gives a standout performance in a very, very difficult role. This is not an easy movie to watch. It tackles the issue of a 14th century noblewoman's rape and disempowerment. However, Scott tackles it really, really well. The tension that builds up to this movie's final climactic battle is incredible, and the stakes are at an all-time high. This is how you make a battle feel consequential. The battle itself is beautifully shot and choreographed. It is an enjoyable watch, and the ending itself is once more quite nuanced, with Jodie Comer's facial expressions stealing the scene. Yes, it's a heavy movie burdened with some very depressing themes. However, it is a great piece of cinema that deserves watching by everyone. Now, if you know me, you knew number 1 spot was inevitable.
You hear that, Mr. Anderson? That is the sound of inevitability.
At number 1, I have Dune. Dune is an epic science fiction film directed by Denis Villeneuve and is the first of a planned 2-part adaptation of the 1965 novel by Frank Herbert. The ensemble cast includes stars like Timothée Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, Oscar Isaac, Josh Brolin, Stellan Skarsgård, Dave Bautista, and Zendaya, amongst others. Nothing on TV or on cinema screens looked or sounded as good as Dune did this year. I called it an audio-visual masterpiece in my review, and I still stand by my words today. I mean, it is directed by my number 1 favorite director right now, Denis Villeneuve, so it was not a surprise, but I cannot tell you how happy I was to experience the movie in cinemas. The visuals for pretty much everything were incredible. The fortress stronghold Arrakeen, as well as the sandworms, are 2 things that come to mind right now. But pretty much Every shot in this movie is so magnificently portrayed. The movie's world building is some of the best I have ever experienced. Never boring, never tedious, despite having very little action. The action is actually, to be honest, the least interesting part of this movie, and maybe the one small criticism I could give this masterpiece. However, we've got great performances. Rebecca Ferguson is standout here, together with Timothée Chalamet, who's also quite good, and the incredibly menacing Stellan Skarsgård. The soundtrack has quickly become one of my absolute favorites. Hans Zimmer has outdone himself again. And ultimately, this was a movie that perfectly showcased why it is so important to give a talented director like Villeneuve free rein. The incredible scale showcased so beautifully is ultimately all in service for the very intimate story being told, and that is something that Villeneuve achieves so effortlessly, and why he has slowly become the sci-fi director of the 21st century, and why he has directed what is, in my opinion, the best movie of 2021. So guys, that's the end of my list, but keep in mind that I missed out on quite a few movies in 2021. I've got movies like The Lost Daughter, like Belfast, which I recently watched and loved and probably would have made this list, Licorice Pizza, Coda, Tragedy of Macbeth, Drive My Car, and many other movies which I still have not had yet the time to watch. So this list could have been very different if I also watched those movies as well. But I hope you enjoyed that list. If you disagree with anything, let me know in the comment section below. As always, guys, don't forget to leave a like on this video, and please do consider subscribing. Cheers, and I'll see you guys next time right here on Adlib Talk.